Yeah, so I'm so glad to be back with you all, really. It's been a while. And look, there's lots to talk about. We've got an awesome guest that's coming a little bit later. Her name is Izzy, and she's got an awesome YouTube. If you haven't watched it, it's extremely interesting. she's, I think she's, I think she's funny actually. She's a bit of a comedian. I think we could have her on more often instead of these comedians that we have on, actually. But yeah, her name is Izzy, and she's on a channel called The Average, the Rich, The Average Rich Housewife. Okay, The Average Rich Housewife. But there's nothing average about her, really. She's a gorgeous lady, and she's got a lot to say, and I'm looking forward to that. So I just want to talk about some of the things that we haven't talked about in a while. And look, this is a story that I'd been following for a bit, and so has the first show. And that's the story about Ryder, the horse. The unfortunate situation that occurred with Ryder, the horse. And you remember, he was, horse carriage ride in New York City, horse, and he collapsed in the middle of the street in a heat wave. And so then what wound up happening is that a lot of people were outraged. There's a petition out as we speak, and it's been one for a while. People want to ban these horse carriage rides in New York City because, as much as people think it's synonymous with New York City, it hasn't been since really Home Alone 2. Do you know what I'm saying? But all I know is this: Ryder was then sent to a retirement home in upstate New York for horses. And they found out that she had a neurological disorder that was given to her from possum poop, probably in her water or her feed. And she was a lot older than they said she was, because there's kind of a cutoff limit for horses to be, working so hard. And it turns out she should have been retired a long time ago. So anyway, bad news, Ryder has died. Yeah. So while I was away, she died. And so if you don't remember this one, let's just go into what it was about. So let me just read what it says here first. Well, first, actually, let me start with the beginning of Ryder, right? Sad situation, but let's start with that. This was the beginning. Was going on back then. Oh, let's write a little bit of that, none of your business. All right, so this was Ryder, if you remember.
Temperature that day had reached 87 degrees. The pavement was much hotter. The horse is named Ryder. He remained on the ground for more than an hour while police hosed him down. Finally, he was able to get to his feet. The time has come to end this barbaric, inhumane practice. Today in New York, animal activists called for a complete ban on horses. Still, supporters would say that this is part of the New York tradition. Is there not a safe way to continue this tradition?
So they wanted to sort of get rid of that going on, and I don't blame them, because poor Ryder certainly was not in a state, obviously. So yeah, that was what happened. And I'm just sad to say that she's died. Let me read the article from the New York Post. So that was Inside Edition. They did a wonderful piece on Ryder when she collapsed. And it's Ryder female or male? It says here, Ryder the frail carriage horse who collapsed over the summer and became a symbol of animal abuse when a video of him sprawled on the ground being flogged by his carriage driver emerged, has died. So that was announced October 17. So yeah, And it says here that Ryder was 13 years old and had just finished a 7.5-hour shift. But veterinary exam determined, oh, so they said that she was 13 years old, but they determined that the horse was between 28 and 30 years old, which is really old for a horse to be, you know, doing all kinds of work and strenuous work in that heat. It's very sad. So, you know, rest in peace to you, Ryder. So we're just going to take a moment just to sort of, you know, give reverence to such a lovely horse. All right, so now we've got some other things to talk about. One of the things I wanted to talk about that I found interesting that I saw was, there's a dog that likes to walk like a human. Believe that. Yes, a dog that likes to walk like a human. Now let's get into that. Okay, so there's some pretty cool images. So hopefully Izzy can hang on just a little bit. We were having a few glitches in terms of getting in for the, what do you call it? We were trying to get into live, so we were a little bit delayed. Well, I just wanted to talk about this. Look at that. Now, this is in Colorado. Lots of things happen in Colorado, as you may obviously know. So he likes to walk on his hind legs. And the dog's name is Dexter, right? In Colorado. And look at that. A report was done on him on CBS Evening News. Now let's see what they had to say. Or let's just at least get some visual of, I like to get some visuals, you know, and just want to see what that's looking like. Oh, we can't get a visual, but that's all right. We've got some quite good photos. I think that might be the same reason why we were having problems going live, isn't it? But look at this dog. Yeah? Look at this dog. Look at him. All right? On his hind legs. So we're going to have lots of pictures of that. Going to have, you know, and then, oh, look, there's some other cheeky animals. This is about a parrot, Apollo, that speaks English. That's interesting, right? I really wished I could have had a little bit more of visual for you guys, but the YouTube will obviously be available if you want to see it. For whatever reason, it's not playing, but you know, we roll with it. Yeah. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to roll with it. Okay. My first day back, and it's been a while, and these things are not cooperating. Well, what can you say? You know, I'm certainly not on some sort of a budget, right? Like these people are paying me. Obviously not. Okay, so sorry about this. I'm having a bit of a runny nose here. Okay, there was another thing that I wanted to talk about. Now, it turns out that there are people adopting dogs in Israel, and for them, what's been happening is that the dogs are not the nicest. Apparently, Israel is a dog-friendly country, and it's estimated to have 33,000 strays. And they're testing the nation's patience as well. So I think it's interesting that these dogs don't seem to be very, very, very friendly. The article says that Tel Aviv, after hours of training, Ollie has learned to bound, tail wagging toward his owners when called, but the big shaggy pooch will sometimes growl in a back off pow warning when owner Itai Linzen touches him. So yeah, what's going on over there? That these dogs in Tel Aviv. Do you know, I'd rather think that it's probably PTSD. What do you think? I think it's PTSD. I believe that these dogs possibly are just some traumatized dogs with all that's going on over there. Because, you know, Tel Aviv was once this really, really cool party town, and it, you know, no longer is. It's where, you know, if you want to get a good bombing, that's where, you know, I'm not trying to be glib about it, but I'm just saying that's where they mostly happen. So I wonder if these dogs are just traumatized dogs, and so you adopt them and they're still kind of, you know, traumatized and see human beings as not nice people, because, you know, all they see is us bombing one another, and so they're thinking, why should I trust you? So you've taken me in. I don't know if I can trust you because you're bombing one another. Do you understand? That's my logic, really. But let's get our invited guest in. Hopefully this works out, because everything else just kind of went to hell, really. Izzy from The Average Rich Housewife on YouTube. Now, I'm really excited. I've never met her. She's never met me either. And I did watch her show once, because, you know, I know she was coming on, so I'm not an idiot. I'm at least going to watch one show to know at least something, right? And so let's get her in. Let's see how that works out. Okay. So we've admitted her in. No, I did not have. Izzy!
Hey, darling, how are you?
I'm well. You know, you're on live at the moment.
I am. Hi, everyone.
Hi, I just want to apologize. There was some sort of a glitch. I don't know what was going on. It would not let us go live. I'd pressed the little live thing and it wouldn't work. And so I was like, what's going on? I just come back from a while and things are glitching. But so happy to have you here.
So happy to be here.
So I talked a little bit about you. I said, I really don't understand what could possibly be average about you, because I watched you and I was like, she's a beautiful woman and she's so interesting and she's got children. And I thought your whole story was interesting about your fertilization issues. But you know what I mean. You had a child, you adopted one just to make sure that things would work out, and it all worked out. It all worked out. And I heard that you had some deaths in your family in terms of your animals.
Oh, my God.
Yes, and that they were toxic.
Well, they're on brand for me and my family. So yes, we had a whole hamster issue. One just dropped dead and the other got loose, and he was living in my apartment for about a week. And then once we finally caught him and put him back in his cage, I'm guessing he wasn't pleased because he didn't make it.
Oh no, he'd lived a life of freedom and then was like, this ain't it.
I get it. It's like being single forever and then you get married.
You know, I feel it every day. I swear, every day. I'm like, I turn around to the right, because that's where he sleeps. And I go, oh, you're still here. All right.
Still breathing. That's too bad. No life insurance today.
You know, it used to be, you could tell them, do you want an Uber? And they just leave. Can't do that no more. They like.
I mean, you can. Just gonna lose the life insurance.
Send them to the country house. That's what you do. You send them. You say, hey, there's something going on over there. Could you go get a look-see?
That's why I go to Miami.
Yeah,
let him stay here.
Miami. I love that. So I did have a few questions that I wanted to ask you, and if you don't mind, you know, I'm a serious journalist. You've probably heard, and now I've transitioned into animal news, which doesn't change the fact that I'm respected and serious. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm a serious housewife.
Well,
nobody respects me.
Well, there you go. And so I think, you know, I'm just going to get my situation there handled. Yes. So one of the questions that I had, so the name Average Rich Housewife, first off, can I just say, I watched this one show and you said, I don't need space. I need location. Yes. When the people tell you, why don't you go somewhere else for bigger space? And you're like, for what?
Who wants to live in Long Island so I can end up sleeping with my neighbors and being drunk all day? No, thank you.
Long Island. Exactly. I understand.
Doesn't even sound good.
Look.
I want to stay on the small island of Manhattan.
No,
the right island.
Right. Like I did this one show where I talked about people who were getting their dogs lost in the forest or in the water. I said, give me concrete. If I'm walking a dog, it's on concrete. I'm not going through this whole situation of like the forest and nature.
They have dog walkers for that.
Thank you. So
Central Park is just fine.
Thank you. I do appreciate that sentiment, really. And so one of the things, so I just wanted to say that was so nice. That was a good one. I think I'll quote you every now and again when people try to get smart with me. So here's the question. Is the fact that you're in between, because I know you mentioned that you're not quite Jay-Z, Beyonce rich, and you're not poor either. So is that what makes you average, or is it the fact that you're raising your own kids without help?
Oh, it's a little combination of both. So anywhere else in the world, we are extremely rich. But in New York, everybody's fucking rich. So we're just average, or at least everybody in my world. Everybody is paying astronomical amounts of mortgages and rents and tuition.
Right.
And you know, being worth 50, 60, 70 million sounds like a lot, except if you're in New York City.
Gotcha.
Then you're just average. Also, average refers to how I live. Like, even though we can afford all of this other stuff, I'm still just an average person who shops at Shein, and my kids get on the bus, the city bus. And like, even though we can have a driver and all that other stuff, I'm still a girl from Brooklyn. My husband lives like that. And I'm just like, not interested. It makes me uncomfortable.
Got it. So Shein, that's SHEIN, is it not?
It is. And everybody cancels me for that because, you know,
it's like Fashion Nova, is it not?
Fast fashion. But you know what? I wear it twice and I pass it on.
That's adorable.
I'm okay with it.
You know, it's nice for you to be, what is that? Salt of the earth? Isn't that what they call it?
Yes, that's what they call it.
That's adorable. We all love that about a person, when you can say, well, look at that. She shops
still
just
a real
like
person.
Yeah. Just like everybody else. Does she not bleed? Does she not shop cheap? Yes, she does.
Even the queen shits.
There you go. There you go. So I guess you must do a bit of like what? Zara and what's the other one?
Zara. I mean, I shop everywhere. I do go to Burger Goodman. However, H&M, Zara. Yeah, I like the fast fashion. I'm a fast fashion kind of girl.
You're not supposed to spend a lot of money on things that are going to be trending for like a month. I mean, that's silly.
I feel like my kids sit in first class and that's where I'm putting my money.
There you go. And see, that's what I was wondering. I was thinking, you know what? She's a smart one, isn't she? I mean, look, she's not spending money on stuff. So at the end of the day, she is the star. So if there were to be a divorce, you'd have to pay a pretty penny.
I mean, look, I have all the help I need available when I need it. I have a manny on call. I have it all there. I have
You've
a driver.
got a village.
I have beyond a village. However, I don't really need it or use it. It's available. It's nice to have available.
That's important. I say this to women, please stop the whole I'm a superwoman thing. I can do it all. Get yourself a village, a rich man that can provide you with people on standby. Because at the end of the day, these children are going to be the death of you. Seriously, they are.
Listen, they're not going to be wiping my ass when I'm 75. So.
Really? Who's going to be doing it?
I mean, we'll have to hire someone, of course.
Yes, but you know, they've got to supervise them, because then people sometimes take advantage. I'm
going to get one of those young boys that don't speak any English.
I always said I would be getting married twice. First with the older man, and the second time was the youngest one. You know what I mean? Young, because you need them to be virile to be able to sustain.
I'm just saying, I'm going to die so they can continue on to their second marriage when I'm gone.
See, I love that, Izzy. that's somebody that I can get with. So I wanted to talk to you about something that was in the news. I couldn't get to it because I think there's an internet situation. It could be on my end, but that's why we couldn't get live. But there was this whole story about Harry Styles and Olivia Wilde. Did you hear about this whole thing?
No.
All right, first, let me give you a little bit of background. So Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde are an item. So she's left Jason Sudeikis, however you say his name, and they were together, they were engaged, and all of a sudden, boom, boom, she does a movie with somebody, and boom, they're together, right?
How Brangelina of them.
I know. And so now they were saying that she had neglected. See, sometimes when they want to ruin your reputation, they go with the dog. They said she had neglected and abandoned the dog, right? And she's been refuting this story and saying, no, the dog has not been abandoned. The dog is with me. And what do you think about those situations when, you know, people get into new situations and they no longer have their pets, or they don't, like what they said, Meghan
So it
and
happened
Harry.
to me, and I had a pet in a relationship. And when we broke up, I left the pet, and I didn't leave the pet because I didn't love the pet. I left the pet because I moved into an apartment that wasn't conducive to the pet. It was a dog, and my ex had a yard and space for the pet, and she was more comfortable there. So I had to say goodbye to the pet. It was terrible, but I knew it was the best thing for the pet. It's kind of like, what's the best thing for your child?
So let me ask you a question. Did it ever occur to you in your mind or want to get visitation rights, or you were like, you know,
I
to
saw
make
the
a
pet
clean
always,
break?
and I still like,
Yeah?
he still sends me photos of the pet, and like we're still in touch specifically
Oh,
about the pet. But I think that, you know, you have to do what's best for the pet.
how
What if
very
she's traveling and on
civilized.
tour and the pet's just going to be stuck in an apartment where Harry can like tend to its needs?
How very civilized, because at the end of the day, if you talk about like Cheryl Burke and Matthew Lawrence, they might be going into custody battle over the dog. Did you not know that? We did a show
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, so that's not a good situation. So that's a situation where the laws have changed from the time she got the dog. It was at the time a possession. And now that dogs are, you know, in California are sentient beings, there's got to be a custody battle.
But I also feel like people use the dogs like children, like as pawns in control of the relationship. Instead of doing what's best for the animal, they're like, this person is leaving me, so let me make their life miserable and complicated.
That's exactly what I said behind the scenes. I was like, you're not fooling nobody, Mr. Lawrence. You clearly want to see her every now and again, and you're pulling a little fast one, because obviously, if the dog's been with her, what you fighting for? What you fighting for? Right?
Fighting because she's pissed.
There you go. And so now, here's the thing. Would you get a prenup with a pet nup?
Yes. 100%. If I had the pet before, if we got the pet together, there's really nothing you can do.
Right.
It's kind of like having kids together. You have to wait until the breakup to see how this falls, where it falls.
Exactly. And so now for you, are there more animals in your future?
So we also have 2 snakes. We have a corn snake. I know I have all these random animals, and
How
we
did
have
the snakes not eat the hamsters? How did you manage that?
well, I was hoping for that kind of situation. However, it didn't happen. However, once the hamsters died, they are actually technically in my freezer right now, wrapped. Because there's a reason. Because we have a country house, and my sons want to give them a proper burial.
Okay.
So I had to wrap them in aluminum foil, put them in a Ziploc, and they're sitting in my freezer until we can get up to the country house in November.
Oh, delicious.
So now we have 2 snakes, a ball python and a corn snake. They're great apartment pets.
Okay.
They do not smell. You feed them once a week. They're great with kids. I am down with the snake life. I know I would never have been down with this snake life, but it's so easy.
So they're great with kids because your kids are still alive.
I mean,
and they're measure?
Because like they haven't bit them, and they can just play with them and put them in the tank.
Oh, nice. Very cool. I think that's adorable. Not for me. Yeah.
I mean, look, I would have went with a puppy. However, my building doesn't allow it. And I don't want to walk a dog at this exact moment in the dead of winter. And we travel so frequently. I told my son when he's a little bit older, maybe like 11 and able to walk the dog, then he can 100% have one. Until then, we're going to stick with reptiles.
Very nice. Now, Izzy, please tell us a little bit more about your show and where we can find you. This was wonderful. I'm so happy that we got to speak and we got to meet one another.
Me as well. So I have a YouTube show. Average Rich Housewife is my channel. It's essentially a housewife reality show, but from an average rich housewife standpoint, not a Bravo housewife that is just scripted and over the top. This is just like real reality. A lot of, reality mixed with real footage and, producer footage. I'm on TikTok, Average Rich Housewife, and my Instagram is The Average Rich Housewife. So any of those 3 platforms, I am there.
Oh, nice.
My pets are there. My kids are there. The whole.
And you know what's funny, people? She refers to her kids as roommates.
My roommates. Yeah.
What's hilarious. So I will definitely have all that in the description box. Now, the question that I think everybody's like wondering, now, if Bravo was to tap you for like New York housewives, would you do it?
I'm not sure. I guess I would have to see the contract details and how it affected my family, because my kids are still little. So I have to look at the whole, it's just not me being on this show. It affects my children as well.
Yeah.
My husband, my children, my pets. So I would have to see what the contract entailed. So I couldn't say yes or no until I had the details.
Because you've got more control when you're doing it yourself, don't you?
Yeah, so I prefer my brand to have its own show. If I were approached, obviously I would consider it, considering the details. If not, I'm just going to continue with my brands and hope that, my show has been taking off and doing well. I kind of prefer my own brand, but you never know what happens.
I'm thinking a friend of the show is perfect.
Yes.
Your
like
friend.
A spin-off.
Yeah. If you're a friend of the show, no, you just come on just to party.
Yes, and then my spin-off can go from there.
Right.
That's what I would love. I mean, that would be perfect.
Exactly, and then you could wear
That's
your
what
own brand.
Vanderpump Rules, like Vanderpump ended up with that. That's more what I'm going with.
You know what? That's being enterprising. Absolutely. And we love women being enterprising, and we love that you have such your cultural background is also very rich. I read you were Moroccan and Cuban, which I think is so awesome. And so we love that. There's a lot of flavor going on here. And that's what New York really is, isn't it? And so
which is why I feel like a lot of the housewives are not. They're just like these mainstream, come from wealthy parents, perfect. Like I'm from Brooklyn, like less than dirt kind of stuff.
Right. So you got flavor, and you know what? Your brand is definitely delivering it, and I enjoy it. So definitely we'll be watching more of it. And thank you so much for taking the time, really.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yes. So
thank you, my love.